Drawing the human head. So this image shows some head proportions, some proportions of the face. And notably, we see that the eye line here is halfway split through the face. And then also there's a central line of axis that's drawn here to help you find symmetry. So you can see that the eye is along that eye line halfway the head. Note also that from the pupil straight down is the corner of the mouth. Your head is 5 eyes wide, so 1, 2, the space between an eye is an eye, 3, 4, 5. The ear is from like around the eye line here to somewhere between the nose and the mouth. This can be a variable measurement. And what else does this show you? That's about it. This shows you what's called the cut-off head phenomenon, or chopped-off head phenomenon, which means that it was something that was discovered by Betty Edwards from drawing from the right side of the brain, that students were consistently chopping off the upper portion of the head. And this is from her book, these illustrations. And you can see on the right, what the real drawing is supposed to look like, and on the left, like what it looks like out of proportion. This is another demonstration of this cut-off skull error. And you can see the top drawing, how it starts, and then the middle one up here, how most people draw it, and then how it really should be drawn with the full head over here. And same with this, you can see that she's missing a large part of the back of her skull here. How do you start drawing a head? Well, most people start with around an egg shape, and they draw a central axis down this way. You should also draw, of course, the central line this way for your eyes. But actually, I should point out, and you'll see this, I guess, is that as your head changes the axis, as it tilts forward or backwards, this the middle line may not be in the middle of your head. This one will still be central, but other lines may not be. All right, so this just shows you different facial shapes. So, you can start with an egg, but an egg is not a reality for every single person. Everyone has a different facial shape, and you should try to figure out what the person's facial shape is. This just shows you some facial shapes, and you can use this to try to identify what shape the person has. It's best that you do this very early on, right after you draw your egg. Try to figure out the facial shape before you start doing the 5 eyes wide thing, because as you can see in a narrower facial shape, the eyes are going to, if you do 5 eyes wide, it's going to be in a different position than if you have a wide facial shape. So you don't want to have to redraw the eyes. So it's best to get the facial shape right initially as you draw that egg shape, change it to fit the facial shape, and then you'll be drawing your eyes. So this shows you the side view, and it gives you a demonstration of like, here's the human skull, and this shows you, yes, your eyes are really halfway up your head. A is equal to B. This is a drawing that I made just to show how to measure some general proportions, and you can see I started with a sphere shape here, and then I elongated it for, this is another method. It's called, I call it the olive method, because you draw a sphere and then another sphere within it, and a crosshair, and it kind of looks like an olive with an open area for a pimento. And you can see that the halfway point is the eyes, but the head is 3.5 measurements high. And these 3.5 measurements are crucial, because the first one is just the half measurement here is from the top of your hairline to the top of your head. Then there's one from your brow to your top of your hairline, and that's 1. And then one from your brow to the base of the nose is another, the base of the nose to the chin is another. So the head can be divided this way to get some accurate proportions, and you'll see that in my next few drawings. Also note the central line of axis here is now an arc. So you want an arc here for your central line of axis when you're drawing this 3/4 view. This shows you how to do what I was doing in the last example. How do you take an olive shape here and then figure out the 3.5 marks? You can draw a line down from that. And then, you figure out from the nose to the mouth is divided into thirds, and we'll see that shortly, and that's what these little marks are for. And then you can see that the eye here is roughly halfway. up the head. And the ear is actually in this bottom quadrant of the olive. So this is once again as a portrait, the sideways view, and it shows you how I'm using the 3.5 measurements here, and how I'm breaking down the nose to the chin in thirds. And this also shows you from the eye to the chin is equal to the eye to the back of the ear, which is that measurement. Here I'm showing you from the front, starting with the circle, then 3.5 measurements high. And then I'm showing you how to break that up. Here's the eye line halfway, thirds from the nose to the chin. The first third is your mouth, next third is the top of the chin. This kind of shows you the same thing again. It's another drawing I made to show this technique. And it shows you kind of where the ear is placed within this quadrant here. And this shows you a front view, kind of breaking it down. So yeah, the top of the hairline should be there. That should be a halfway measurement. And it shows you that the face is 5 eyes wide as well. Here's an illustration that I made showing all the proportions here, and I have a little kind of mini one here because basically you start off with like your egg shape, which you then turn into the shape of the person's face. Then you want to draw an axis, both a center line both this way and this way, horizontal and vertical, and then divide the face into 5 eyes wide only after you have figured out the facial shape. And then you want to make your 3.5 measurements so that you can figure out where, for example, the hairline to the top of the head is, and the brow to the hairline, and the bottom of the nose to the brow, and the chin to the bottom of the nose. And you can see that I've plugged in the pupil going straight down to the mouth here. And I figured out the mouth because this is a much better illustration than the ones before. From the nose to the chin can be broken up into 3 equal segments. The first segment is the mouth. The next segment is the top of the chin. You can see this ball being used to demonstrate where the chin is. And then the ear is from the eye line here down to somewhere between the nose and the mouth. And, I always see people drawing their mouths too small and their eyes too big. So if you can do these 5 eyes wide thing and get your, from your pupil straight down to the corner of the mouth, and that's the absolute extreme of your mouth, including like those kind of expression lines in your mouth, the corner. And I should point out also that you will suck in the side of your head a little bit here for your skull because it's your temple where it goes in. And then also you see right here, this says jaw change in angle. So this shows where the angle of the jaw changes. This is more pronounced in some people than others. And I kind of demonstrated here and do a line straight across so that you could get the jaw on here. Here is a demonstration drawing that I made of my husband, and it shows all these things put into place, from starting with the egg shape that I made into the fit shape of his face, then halfway for the eye line, and then you can see that I've made the thirds from the nose to the chin, and you can see that the chin to the nose, and the nose to the brow, and then the brow to basically about the top of the hairline. To the hairline should be about there, halfway. The head tilted down a little, it says, so that changes your ear position. This is actually super significant. If your head is tilted down, you'll notice that from your, normally your ear should come off from like middle of the eye, but actually it's going to look like it's coming off farther up, and it's going to look like it's risen up further until it's about equal to where the nose is. So bear in mind your ear position will look different if your head is tilted up or down, as well as your eyes will no longer be exactly halfway up or down your head if you tilt your head. This shows you that eye to the chin is equal to eye to the back of the ear, which is a very useful measurement for profile drawing. This is from drawing from the right side of the brain. Another drawing from the right side of the brain showing the exact same thing, but put in place in a drawing from an artist. This is another really useful illustration I have from drawing from the right side of the brain, where people often make a very little neck. And the neck can be drawn from the top of the lip back in profile, straight back, and that's where the base of the skull is. the base of the cranial notch. This is a 3/4 view, and it shows you how you would do a 3/4 view. And all you want to do is take your measurements here and you just shift your axis, like your central axis, it tilts, or you can do what I was doing and do kind of an arc. That can help as well. Bear in mind that the eye line will tilt, and I see people doing this wrong all the time, where the eyes are not lined up, and it's because they did not draw an eye line here when the head tilted that was related to the central axis, because you see that this is related. This makes lines that are perpendicular. And you can see here the eye to the chin, the eye to the back of the ear, which is not probably totally exact because the head is in 3/4. This shows you negative space and how it is very useful when you're figuring out stuff, particularly in a profile. You might be like, what is going on here? You can use the negative space to figure that out. And this is a famous drawing by John Singer Sargent called Madam X, and it's a lovely profile. I often have my students start drawing the head by copying just this profile. And this is just some pencil portraits that I found online, a pencil portrait from this artist who is very gifted. And what this artist does, which is very interesting, is actually they do not draw the hair in. And I thought that was pretty cool, actually, in terms of contrast and lovely shading in the face. And that's the end of my lecture.